Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, and if you want to submit to be on the show, take a look at the information in the description.
Casino, Arizona.
Yep, okay, so it's going to be some spread limit
J5.
stuff.
Yeah. Gotta hope they change that sometime soon. All right. So, the effective stack is 1200. And I wanted to ask you before I got started, which do you think is more interesting, if I tell it from the villain's perspective or the hero's perspective?
Just
You read through the hand, right?
tell me from your perspective, because I've done calls like this and they never go well if it's from the other perspective.
Okay.
What are the blinds again? I'm sorry.
Three, 5.
3-5. All right, so 3-5, 1200 effective, and this is what a 500 per street max bet or per bet or something like that.
Bets and raises on increments of 500 max.
Okay, 500. Yeah.
So,
All right.
the total amount of betting is not capped. It's just
Okay.
the bets and raises. Well, it is if it's a multi-way, right? It's like the limit. But,
Right. Right. Okay.
So, okay. So, hero raises to $30 over a couple of limps in middle position, with 9-7 of clubs,
So
which is
what?
probably a
So like
little loose for middle position,
two
but
limpers, hero to
30.
30 with 9-7 of clubs.
Mhm.
Okay, it's from the low
Do,
jack. Okay.
do you agree that's a little loose? I should probably be only doing direct connected to this card there.
I mean, I mean, it's a little bit loose. Yeah, it's a little bit loose.
Okay. Well, the table is pretty passive, so I didn't think I was going to get punished too bad.
Mm-hmm.
And first caller is 2 to my left and has position on the
Okay.
hand,
Okay.
and then one of the limpers out of position call.
Okay.
Okay. So the flop comes down, 8 of clubs, 5 of clubs, jack of spades.
All right. So you have 9-7 of clubs, and you raise over two limps. Cutoff calls you to your left. One of the limpers calls. Pot's about 90. 8 of clubs, 5 of clubs, jack of spades. So you flop pretty big draw. You get a 15 out double gutter and straight flush draw and combo draw. Double gutter to a 10 and a 6 and a straight flush draw.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the flop. I figure I see that flop. There's no way I'm going to fold the flop for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to keep everybody's range wide. So I bet 40. What do you think of that sizing?
I think it's yeah. I mean, I might. Well, the max bets. If you're 1200 effective, I actually might start taking a larger sizing because I might just continue to make large bets here. And what I mean by that is that like, so the way that I approach some of these hands here with like big combo draws is I mean, you're getting a couple of things done by actually making larger bets, right? Like you're building a pot up to like basically like a nut hand, but you're also enabling yourself to make even larger bets later on, which tend to kind of scare people away if offsuit dynamic cards come, like a king, offsuit ace, maybe an offsuit queen, and then low disconnected cards like a deuce through a four that are offsuit. Like you might start putting money in here at 65, 70, $75 and bet all those turn cards. And you'll see that like a lot of good things can happen in the sense that you're either going to make your hand, you'll have fold equity, and then occasionally like you won't get the folds and nothing will change on the river and then you just sort of give up. But when you overlay your fold equity with the amount of equity that you have in your own hand, I think large bets with this particular holding uh, can sometimes be a pretty good approach for those reasons. So if I had your hand here, I think I would actually start choosing a larger sizing with the intent of going larger and larger. Um, that's how I'd sort of shape the hand.
Okay, so you would bet more like 60 to even $80, you said, right?
I think I might bet 75 here. If everybody's got
Okay.
1200, I might bet 75. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So only the imposition player calls.
Okay, so cutoff calls. All right, so here about you said you bet 40, right?
I did. Yep.
Okay.
And and so how do you balance that with what you just said? How do you balance that with whether or not you empty the clip on the river if you miss?
Uh, with your sizing or with my larger sizing?
Either. How would you
Well,
approach either way?
I mean, if I'm using my larger sizing and I'm blocking like a lot of the clubs, so my opponent's going to be pretty skewed towards Jack X, and I bet really large on like on an offsuit deuce on the turn, and they continue to call, and I also block like the straight draw in the form of 9-10 in the form of 6-7, then you probably want to give up at the end, right? The
Yeah.
composition of your hand. Um,
Right, right. So you're talking about low break in that case, right?
yeah, yeah, low break, low break. I mean, if you get like an offsuit king and you bet large and the guy calls again, I still don't think I still think that the king is going to connect with him in some way. A lot of these guys aren't going to continue to hold on with like Jack 10, Queen Jack when you go large bet across two streets, especially when you started on the flop into multi-way opponents. But now when you bet 40, even if you were to bet say like 150 on the turn, even on a king turn, you still might get a call from a jack. Whereas I was saying like bet 75 on the flop. Now the pot will be like 240. You follow up with like 220 on the turn. It's hard pressed for somebody to on an offsuit king. It's hard pressed for somebody to continue to hold on with Jack X. I mean, that's just my personal that's
Sure.
my personal approach, but or my opinion specifically on this hand. All right, so the pot's
Right, right.
170.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so the turn comes the six of clubs, which is obviously a jing card.
So you make a straight flush.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So I bet 115.
115.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what do you think? Would you go larger there too, then, or is that good relative to the size of the pot?
I mean if I had used your sizing, I would either go for a check raise or I would bet almost pot. I don't think I would take an off. I don't think I would take an in between sizing. Similar to another hand that the guy had called in a couple of hands ago, I don't see when next to act calls your bet here with somebody behind you. I don't really see I'm not exactly sure what hands are going to call for 115 that aren't going to call for like 150 to 170. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
yeah.
So in that same vein, what do you think about overbetting?
Yeah, I mean, you could overbet too, but I mean, I wouldn't go too crazy here. But I think a pot size bet, almost a pot size bet, would be warranted. I'm not really a huge fan of the in between bet. So you bet 115.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I was specifically thinking like if you had like ace jack with ace clubs
Hmm.
and like not didn't have a made flush yet, that maybe a slightly smaller sizing would keep him around.
Well, I don't
But
think ace jack with the ace of clubs is going to be folding to a nearly pot size bet, anyways. But it sounds to me like your
okay,
opponent called.
fair enough. Yes. Yeah, yeah, he did.
Okay. So now the pot's
Opponent called.
400. Yep.
Lots 400, and River's not a great card for the board. In my opinion, it's the king of clubs.
So the king of
I
clubs.
mean,
So
it's
it
great
runs
if he does specifically have the ace of clubs, but
right.
if the opponent has anything else, now there's a four flush.
Yeah. Here's the thing with this, and then and you can only stick. You only can have a $500 max bet, right?
Correct.
I'm just trying to think of this like from if you didn't have this $500 max bet thing, and you had let's say that you had 1,000 left and the pot was like 400. I'm trying to think of what I would do here with sizing because I guess probably betting. I guess probably betting a medium sizing here is going to be best. And the reason why is because you can bet 150 to 200 here, and you're going to still get you're going to get a raise in right with the ace of clubs. So if you bet 150 to 200, the ace of clubs is going to raise you, and you're going to get called by the queen of clubs or some random club. Whereas if you were to bet 400 to 500, you might get like the queen of clubs, something like that, some lower club to fold. And then what was kind of funny, because I remember you actually emailing me this hand in, if you bet full pot here, as crazy as it sounds, and this is an extreme example because of the max bet, like say you bet 500 here, or even if
Sure.
there wasn't a max bet, say you bet like 600 here on the river into a $400 pot. If I was your opponent and I arrived on the river with the ace of clubs, I don't really think there's much value in raising. And even though that looks insane because it's the one card, because you've got the one card sort of nut flush, right, with the ace of clubs, you have to understand that these four flush runouts are very unique. When you hold the ace of clubs on an eight of clubs, five of clubs, jack of spades, six of clubs, king of clubs board, and you hold the ace of clubs, and your opponent is betting 1.5x the size of the pot into you, well, that represents a polarized range, right? You have
Right.
one of the cards that's in that polarized range. So now what does that polarized range consist of if it doesn't consist of the ace of clubs?
The straight flush
A straight flush or a bluff, right?
right. Exactly.
So if I'm there and I'm looking at a $600 bet into a $400 pot and I have the ace of clubs, I'm not going to raise. Now, I don't necessarily know if the opponent's going to think that, but I think betting 200, you're going to definitely get a raise from the ace of clubs, and you're going to get inferior clubs to call. So I think I would probably go 150 to 200 here because the ace of clubs should raise you.
Right. Right. And okay. And I totally see your thought process there. Um, yeah, I totally see your thought process there. So I ended up betting the max bet though, because I felt like I was trying to make up for value that I
Uh-huh.
missed on earlier streets now.
Yep.
And I bet 500, and I just basically figured if the opponent doesn't have the ace of clubs on a four flush run out, they're probably folding, right? At this point. So, because they're going to assume I have it, was my thought process.
Then if they don't what?
Um, like like you were saying, with the smaller sizing where I would get a crying call,
Mm-hmm.
I just figured on a four flush though, like you were saying, how unique it is. I was like, if he did turn a flush that was a non-nut flush, most likely, he's going to fold anyway because I've bet every street, right? So, what kind of, like you said, what kind of hand is he going to put me on? So he's going to assume I probably backed into the nut flush if
Yeah,
he
but
doesn't have it.
right, but if your opponent has the 10 of clubs or your opponent has the queen of clubs, right? And you bet 500, he has to call less often with the inferior non-ace of clubs hands than if you were to bet like 200. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're
Right.
betting like
Yeah, of
smaller to
course.
get
Yeah, it's a
raised by
frequency
the
thing.
ace of clubs and get called
Right.
by inferior clubs. So you bet
Right.
500, what ended up happening?
My opponent thought about it for a little bit, hemmed and hawed, and called.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you
And
know what he
my
had?
opponent, yeah, my opponent actually showed the queen jack of clubs.
Queen jack with the queen of clubs.
No, he was suited. He had both. He had queen.
He had queen of clubs, jack of clubs for a flush. Well, that sucks for you that the river was a club. I assume that he's slow playing it, right? And the run out was such. obviously. And also, I think this is going to be a function of sometimes that players just are incapable of folding. And I'm not saying he's supposed to fold the queen of clubs here. It's the second best. I know it's not the second best hand, but it's in essence the second best flush that he can have, even though there's straight flushes out there. But a lot of times you'll find somebody that will call down with lower flushes when they had a two card flush with three on the board, and then it turns into a four flush run out, almost like a mental game thing where they can't fold it. But that was interesting. I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call in hand, hit the like button down below. If you want to check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA200 to get the first 30 days for free.